So about 2 months ago, I talked about Brady Tkachuk's looming contract and what I thought it might look like. Today, now let's talk about Drake Batherson's looming contract, because I think this is a pretty interesting one as well. And Drake Batherson's a pretty unique player, at least he was in juniors anyways, considering the fact that he didn't play his first full year of junior hockey till he was 18 years old. Usually when a guy doesn't play his first full year of junior hockey till he's 18 years old, he does not go on to make the NHL. So for Drake Batherson, what a story for him to not play till 18 in juniors, and now he's making the NHL and he's thriving so far in the NHL. And the reason why I brought up him being a late bloomer is because a lot of people have talked about, how much points he could get in his full potential, and a lot of people have said like 70 plus. I don't know about that. I think more maybe around 60 or so, maybe 55 to 60 points. He had 17 goals, 17 assists for 34 points in 56 games played. That would have put him on about 50 points in a full 82 game season. So I don't think Drake Batherson's going to max out at only 50 points. I think he's going to be a higher point producer than that. He's got a good wrist shot. He's a good skater. I wouldn't say a great skater. I think he is a better skater than what people give him credit for. He almost reminds me a bit of Mark Stone, maybe more methodical, stuff like that. He is a better skater than what Mark Stone was, though, definitely, for sure. But for Drake Batherson, he has the ability to beat a goalie from far out. And with Brady Tkachuk, that's kind of been my knock on him, is he doesn't beat a goalie from far out as often as I would like him to. Yes, he does get a decent amount of points from around the 10-foot radius in front of the net. But for Batherson, he has that ability to beat a goalie from far out, like I said. And I think in the long run, that's probably worth a little bit more than a guy like Brady Tkachuk as far as paying these guys go. Batherson's a very tricky contract because he's had one full year in the NHL. Well, not even a full year. It was only a 56-game season. So for Pierre Dorion and the Ottawa Senators, what do you give him? Do you give him a long-term deal with big money, like $6+ million? Or do you give him like a 2 or 3 year bridge contract? For me, I'm personally leaning more towards a bridge deal, because I think Batherson does need to prove himself a little bit more. Yeah, I know people might not like that, but at the end of the day, it is only 1 year. I think Batherson's going to be a great player in this league, but like I said, it's only 1 year that he's been good for so far in the NHL, and he needs to prove it for at least another year or two before the Sens make a long-term commitment to him. But let's say the Sens do decide to give him a long-term deal. What type of money should they give him annually? I think if it's like a 7 or 8 year deal, right now I wouldn't want to give him more than 5.5 to maybe 6.8, maybe even 7. But see, that's why a long-term deal is risky, because I would be a little nervous if they signed Batherson to a 7 or 8 year deal worth like 6.5 or 7 million. I would be thinking, well, I don't know, after just one good year of production in the NHL from Batherson, you give him that much term and that much money. And that's why I would lean more towards the bridge deal for him. So if a short-term contract is probably more likely, what would he get on that short-term contract? Well, for a guy like Colin White, who right now is a bit overpaid, he hasn't probably produced or lived up to his contract, maybe Batherson's going to look at him and say, well, if he got around, 4.7, 4.8 on a 6-year deal it was that he signed, if I signed for like 2-3 years, I should get at least minimum 4 million, maybe even 4.5. You would have to think his camp would be asking for that type of money. On a 2-year deal, I would not give Batherson more than 4.5 million per year. If it was a 3-year deal, if the Sens went as high as 5 million with him in those 3 years annually, I could live with that. I could rest easy. It would not be an overpayment. It would be a good contract for him to prove himself on while still making pretty fair money. And are you guys nervous about these contracts? For myself personally, I'm not, just because there's still 2 months left. If it's a month from now and Bruce Garriock tweets out something like, Tkachuk and the Sens aren't close on a contract, Batherson and the Sens aren't close on a contract, then I'll start to be nervous. I think we'll have something to worry about then. But for now, I think we should all rest easy still. And let's say Tkachuk and Batherson, or even one of them, misses training camp. I think that would be a big loss for them. It would also be a loss for the Sens too, because even once you get those guys back, depending on how late into the season they come back, they probably won't be the same players. We all remember William Nylander from a few years ago. He really never got going throughout the 18-19 season. He held out all the way to December 1st. God forbid that happens with these two contracts. I don't think it will. But if they even hold out to like November or something like that, it's going to be hard for these guys to get up to speed, because coming in about a month or so into a regular season in the NHL is like trying to jump on a moving treadmill that's going at like 12 miles an hour. Just imagine trying to do that. That's how hard it is. And these players, they more than likely are going to want to be ready for training camp. So those are my thoughts on the future Drake Batherson contract. Please let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Also, please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.